Okay, let's unpack this. You've seen the headlines, right? The big, scary ones about AI coming for your job. We've all encountered those estimates suggesting hundreds of millions of jobs could potentially be lost globally. There's absolutely a valid anxiety around this rapid technological shift.
Yeah, that anxiety is real, and you see it reflected everywhere.
But what if we look beyond the fear? What if we take a deep dive into the actual sources, the stack of articles, research reports, expert perspectives you shared, to understand what's really happening with AI and the job market?
That's exactly our mission here, to move past the alarming predictions and dig into what the data and insights from these sources truly show. What picture emerges when we look closely?
And the picture these sources paint is far more nuanced than simple job elimination. The core finding isn't AI as primarily a job killer, but as something that fundamentally transforms roles. It's described repeatedly as a job shifter, and for those who understand how to wield it, a powerful power multiplier.
Exactly. The big idea that comes through. AI is about amplification, not replacement. That's the key theme.
So, to understand that shift, let's first acknowledge the fear. Our sources highlight some striking predictions. Goldman Sachs, for instance, estimates around 300 million jobs globally could be exposed to automation.
That's a huge number.
And worker anxiety is palpable. A global consulting firm, PwC, found about 30% of workers worry their job will be replaced by AI or similar tech by 2025. Another survey by SurveyMonkey and CNBC put that number at 24% of U.S. workers.
What's particularly interesting is that some workers report already feeling this impact. One source from SEO.ai and ET notes 14% of workers feeling the effects.
Already? Wow.
Yeah, and a Socius survey found 13.7% of U.S. workers specifically report losing a job to a robot.
The fear seems especially pronounced in some regions like India, where 74% of workers express concern, according to ET, the Economic Times.
74%, that's massive.
It is, and that SurveyMonkey and CNBC data points out that younger and lower income workers tend to be more worried, so it's not felt equally across the board. Okay, that initial data can feel quite unsettling. I get why people are worried. But the sources also provide crucial context that really shifts the perspective, doesn't it?
They absolutely do. If we look at the bigger historical picture, fears about technology replacing jobs aren't new at all. Think back to agriculture. In the early 20th century, over 40% of the American workforce was on farms. Massive percentage.
Right. Unimaginable now.
Exactly. With the advent of tractors, better fertilizers, other tech, that plummeted to around 2% by 2000. It's a huge displacement of specific jobs, sure, but it didn't lead to mass, permanent unemployment because new industries and jobs emerged. People adapted.
So history suggests disruption, but also creation.
Precisely. And this leads to a key insight from the sources. Are we sometimes confusing task automation with full job replacement? The predictions we see often include a whole range of automation tools, not just AI. And automating even half of current worldwide work tasks could take decades, potentially 20 years or more, as estimated by McKinsey. It's not an overnight switch.
Right, decades. That's a different time frame than the headline suggests.
It is. And it's also critical to understand that exposure to AI, meaning a job having some tasks that AI could automate, is very different from that job being fully automated. Sources like Goldman Sachs and the IMF make this distinction really clearly.
Okay, exposure versus full automation. That's an important difference.
The huge difference. McKinsey research indicates that less than 5% of occupations can actually be fully automated with current AI capabilities. Less than 5%.
Wow.
The impact is primarily on tasks within a role, not usually the entire role itself.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating and points towards that core theme you mentioned. If it's not about mass replacement, what is AI primarily doing to jobs, according to these sources?
They make a strong case that AI is fundamentally an amplifier. It's shifting what humans do, rather than just eliminating the need for humans entirely. One source even calls it the biggest cheat code humanity's ever seen for those who learn to leverage it.
A cheat code. I like that.
Yeah. And the concepts of real-time leverage and personal scaling come up repeatedly. This is the idea that AI allows one person to achieve productivity levels that previously required an entire team.
So one person doing the work of many.
Potentially, yeah. Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, is quoted believing that because of this leverage, one person can now build a billion-dollar company. That's the scale of amplification we're talking about.
How does that amplification actually work in practice? What does it look like day to day?
Well, what's highlighted is how AI automates the repetitive and routine tasks that consume so much time. the boring stuff, basically.
We all have those tasks.
Exactly. This frees up humans to focus on higher level, more complex, creative, and strategic work, which dramatically increases overall productivity. Consider the specific example shared by Justin Batet in one of the sources. Using an AI tool to help synthesize research, generate initial script drafts, outline slides for presentation.
Okay, like prepping for this deep dive.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Tasks that used to take him over 6 hours were condensed into just 6 minutes. 6 hours to 6 minutes.
That's incredible.
It is, but the key point isn't that the AI did the job for him, but that he became AI enhanced. He guided the AI, applied his expertise, refined its output, added his unique insights.
So the human is still crucial.
Absolutely crucial. AI acted as a thought partner, helping him shift his focus from the time-consuming task of drafting to the more impactful goal of delivering a great presentation, driving impact, not just doing tasks.
And this isn't some far-off future possibility. These tools are accessible right now, aren't they?
Totally. The sources describe AI as becoming the new Swiss Army knife, available to almost anyone.
Yeah, they list examples across so many different areas. For editing video, there's CapCut, Runway, Filmora, even voice work tools like Revoice, Respeecher, writing and content tools like ChatGPT, Jasper, WriteSonic, Quillbot, Claude AI, lots of those.
We're using some related tech right now, indirectly.
True. And in marketing and sales, you find tools like Persado, ChatSimple, Gong.io, HubSpot integrating AI. For general productivity, Notion AI, Microsoft 365 Copilot, that's Microsoft's big push, right?
Yeah, embedding it everywhere. And Bardeen for automation.
And for visual design, tools like Midjourney, Leonardo, Design Stripe are mentioned. It's a huge landscape of tools.
And these examples illustrate how AI is already simplifying workflows, reducing wasted effort, and essentially giving individuals significant superpowers. As one source puts it, this is not the future. This is Tuesday morning for people already plugged in.
Haha, I like that. Tuesday morning.
It shows how the amplification isn't just theoretical. It's happening now through these readily available tools.
So with these tools so accessible and powerful, where are we seeing their impact showing up most clearly in terms of specific job tasks, according to these sources? Which areas are feeling it first?
The sources indicate that AI is having a significant impact on knowledge-intensive industries and white-collar jobs, which is actually a shift from earlier automation waves that tended to hit blue-collar roles harder.
Interesting shift.
Yeah. The types of tasks most susceptible to AI automation are those that are repetitive, routine, or involve processing large amounts of data. Makes sense, right?
Totally. The stuff computers are good at.
Exactly. This includes things like data entry, which the World Economic Forum, or WEF, predicts could see the largest job loss by 2027, estimating around 7.5 million jobs globally.
7.5 million. That's still a big number, even if it's specific tasks.
It is. And administrative tasks like managing basic emails, tracking data trends, scheduling, summarizing documents, also highly susceptible, often aided by tools like Microsoft 365 Copilot.
Right, the basic office admin stuff.
Customer service, too, being transformed by chatbots, handling inquiries, providing translations, summarizing interactions. Tasks related to data processing and information are very vulnerable. The WEF suggests 65% of these could be automated by 2027.
65%.
Even in professions like law and finance, AI is impacting specific tasks. Reviewing documents, analyzing contracts, doing initial legal research, monitoring transactions, organizing databases, the grunt work, often.
What about creative fields?
The sources also mention AI, assisting with creative tasks, things like drafting initial content, checking grammar for writers, or generating initial images from text prompts for designers. It's an assistant, a starting point.
Okay. And other industries?
Transportation impacting route planning and predictive maintenance. Manufacturing sees AI in automated assembly line tasks and quality control. Warehousing uses mobile robots to aid human workers, and areas like entry-level translation, retail tasks like inventory management, supply chain forecasting. AI is automating specific functions there too.
That's a really broad range of tasks across many sectors. It sounds like many parts of many jobs are changing quite significantly.
Exactly. And it's crucial to keep reiterating that point about task automation versus full job replacement.
Right. It's not the whole job disappearing usually.
Correct. Even in these areas, the sources emphasize it's often just part of the job or a transformation of how the task is done, with AI assisting or increasing efficiency. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean entire jobs disappear overnight, but it can lead to needing fewer people to produce the same output or potentially put pressure on wages for tasks that become easily automatable. Sources like McKinsey and what is highlight that risk.
Okay, so AI is automating many routine, data-heavy tasks. Where then do humans still hold a distinct, perhaps even growing advantage? What jobs or parts of jobs are less susceptible to this kind of automation based on what the sources are saying?
This brings us back to the uniquely human elements of work. It's
Hmm.
really interesting. Sam Altman is quoted pointing out that jobs requiring deep emotional connection between two people are more resistant.
Emotional connection, that makes intuitive sense.
Yeah, and the WEF data also suggests that tasks requiring human reasoning and complex decision-making are less likely to be fully automated by 2027 compared to basic data processing. The sources really highlight jobs where success relies heavily on human interaction, persuasion, negotiation, and navigating complex human dynamics.
Like sales.
Exactly. Sales roles where you're actively selling a product that requires building trust and understanding nuanced needs. Think high-value items like life insurance, expensive real estate, luxury goods, cars. AI can provide information, sure, but according to valuetainment, not the personal connection needed to close those kinds of deals.
So relationship building is key.
Definitely. High-level wealth management and financial planning, too, particularly focusing on the client relationship and tailored advice based on complex life circumstances, remains resistant. AI can crunch the numbers, but the human advisor builds the trust.
Yeah, okay. What else?
Private equity and venture capital roles, they require complex, nuanced negotiation and human judgment calls that AI just can't replicate yet. Consulting and coaching are also strong human domains, especially for what one source calls expert operators who share practical, lived experience and build trust to guide clients. They might even help clients figure out how to best leverage AI itself.
Interesting. Using human expertise to navigate the AI wave.
Exactly. In the legal field, while AI handles document review, it can't represent clients in court, negotiate effectively with judges, or make persuasive emotional arguments to a jury. Those are deeply human skills.
Right.
Marketing that excels often relies on compelling storytelling and creating an emotional bond with the audience. Again, very human.
Teaching, coaching,
Teaching sports or other practical skills requires direct observation, personalized coaching, that human connection that AI tools, even helpful ones, can't fully provide.
and leadership,
Yeah.
managing people.
Crucially, leadership itself is highlighted. Managing people, dealing with human nature, challenging, encouraging, building effective teams, these require skills that are inherently human.
Hmm.
And arguably, they become more valuable as digital interaction increases.
That's a powerful point. Human connection becomes a premium.
It seems so. Other roles with significant human interaction or care elements, like nannies, are also mentioned as less susceptible. Essentially, jobs requiring critical thinking, nuanced judgment, strategic insight, and genuine creativity remain areas where humans excel.
So AI handles the routine, data-heavy tasks, freeing up humans to double down on the relational, creative, and strategic work. That's the shift. But beyond just shifting existing roles, are entirely new jobs being created because of AI? Is there a creation side to this?
Absolutely, and the sources are very clear on this. It's not just about change, it's about creation too. AI isn't just changing existing jobs, it's spawning whole new categories of roles that didn't exist even a few years ago.
Like what kind of roles?
Examples cited include positions like AI product manager, AI automation specialist, AI agent developer, that's someone who builds those AI workflows we talked about, the ones that have memory and can use tools.
Ah, okay. Building the systems.
Right. And more technical roles like natural language processing engineer or computer vision engineer. These are specialized fields booming because of AI. In fact, the World Economic Forum predicts that AI and machine learning specialists will see the largest net job growth worldwide between 2023 and 2027, the biggest growth area.
Net growth. So more created than lost in that specific category.
Exactly. And this mirrors historical patterns. McKinsey points out that about a third of U.S. jobs created in the last 25 years didn't exist before. Technology creates new needs, new roles.
So history repeats in a way.
It often does. The sources suggest these new AI-specific roles require a mix of technical understanding, logical thinking, creativity, and importantly, many of the necessary skills can be learned through readily available online resources. It's not necessarily requiring decades of traditional education for all roles.
This brings us to the practical question for anyone listening. How do you navigate this landscape? How do you adapt and ensure you're positioned for success in this evolving job market? What should people do?
Yeah, the crucial takeaway. The sources strongly emphasize that adaptation is key for both individuals and organizations. You can't just ignore this. Predictions from sources like SEO.ai and Stats on AI suggest millions of workers globally will need retraining in the coming years. The numbers are huge, ranging from 20 million to maybe even 120 million.
Wow, massive retraining effort needed.
Definitely. And employers are recognizing this necessity. The WEF reports that 42% plan to prioritize training workers in AI by 2027. Companies know they need their workforce skilled up.
So what's the mindset shift needed?
The core mindset shift highlighted is developing an AI-first mindset. This means shifting from viewing AI as a competitor, something to fear, to seeing it as a personal amplifier, a tool to make you better.
Okay, amplifier, not competitor.
Right. It's about embracing AI-human synergy, letting AI handle the data crunching, the repetitive tasks, so you can focus your human energy on strategy, creativity, problem solving, building relationships.
Yeah.
The high-value stuff.
And what specific skills should people focus on developing?
Specific skills mentioned include prompt engineering, which is essentially learning how to ask AI effective questions to get the best possible results. It's an art and a science.
Asking better questions.
Exactly. Understanding agentic AI, how AI systems can sequence tasks, remember context, reason through problems, and use external tools, is also becoming increasingly valuable for building more complex AI workflows. The overall goal is to use AI as a thought partner, leveraging its speed and processing power while applying your unique human expertise, your insights, your experience to guide the process and ensure quality. It's about becoming AI-enhanced.
AI-enhanced. I like that framing.
It captures the partnership idea, I think.
One really encouraging point that came through from the sources is the accessibility of these tools. It's not just something locked away for massive corporations or the most technologically advanced nations, is it?
No, not at all. That democratization is a crucial theme. AI is becoming widely available, which is really powerful. One example cited is ChatGPT Plus being made free in the UAE under a government initiative. That shows how even advanced tools can become broadly accessible, sometimes through public efforts.
Interesting. And what about free tools?
The sources also highlight a growing list of free AI tools available to individuals for pretty much everything: research, design, writing, automation.
Like which ones?
Tools like Perplexity AI for research, Google Docs AI integrated for writing, Canva and Ideogram for design, Claude AI is another chat assistant, various free Google AI tools, Bardeen for automation, Dectopus for presentations. The list is growing constantly.
So you don't need a huge budget to start experimenting.
Exactly. The takeaway is that often the main requirement is just curiosity and a willingness to experiment, not necessarily large sums of cash. Just try things out.
Okay, it's clearly a complex picture, and the sources also touch on the very real human feelings and concerns workers have around this. It's not all just about efficiency, right?
Definitely not. There's a human cost and anxiety. Concerns about adequate training are significant. PwC noted that 39% of workers worry they won't receive sufficient training to work effectively with AI. That's a big gap.
Yeah, feeling unprepared.
And it's interesting how using AI makes people feel. According to Asana, 26% of workers report feeling lazy when using it, and 18% even feel like a fraud, like they didn't really do the work.
Imposter syndrome, but with AI.
Sorta, yeah. Plus, over half of workers, 55% according to BMG, still believe AI will eliminate more jobs than it creates. That perception gap between the public narrative and the nuanced reality in these sources is still wide.
So the fear is still dominant for many.
It is. But those feelings are understandable given the scale of change. It's worth balancing that, though, with some of the positive worker perspectives the sources also reveal.
Okay, what's the upside people are seeing?
Well, data from SnapLogic and ET indicates that a high percentage of office workers, 81%, actually have a generally favorable view of AI and feel it enhances their job performance and experience.
81%. So most office workers see benefits.
It seems so. And despite those high fears in India we mentioned, 83% of workers there are actually eager to delegate tasks to AI to reduce their workload. They want the help.
Interesting contrast. Fear and eagerness coexisting.
And SnapLogic also found that over half of office workers, 51%, feel AI helps them achieve a better work-life balance, maybe by taking over those tedious tasks.
Better work-life balance is a big selling point.
Absolutely. It's not just about productivity for the company. It's about quality of life for the worker too, potentially.
So, to bring our deep dive to a close, we started with the very real fears and those dramatic headlines about AI causing massive job losses. A scary picture. But by digging into this stack of sources, we've seen that the reality presented is far more nuanced, isn't it? It's really a story of transformation, significant task automation, and a fundamental shift in what humans will focus on in many roles.
Exactly. The overwhelming message from these sources is that AI's primary impact is amplification, enhancement. It's changing the nature of jobs and creating new opportunities rather than simply replacing human work entirely across the board. The key takeaway for navigating this future seems clear from the sources. Adapt, learn to work with AI as your co-pilot, your partner.
Your amplifier.
Your amplifier, yes. And leverage those uniquely human strengths, creativity, critical judgment, emotional intelligence, strategic thinking, the things AI, at least for now, can't replicate.
Okay, so you've heard the fear, you've heard the reality presented in these sources. Now, instead of getting stuck asking that question, will AI take my job? Consider the perspective we've explored today and maybe ask yourself a different question. How can AI make me 10x better at my job?
That's the leverage question.
Reflect on that powerful idea that you plus AI equals unstoppable. What does becoming AI enhanced mean for your unique skills, your career, and your future? Something to think about.